Okay, so I'm joined by Gareth this afternoon, and I believe we're going to be talking about Gareth's marketing business. So if you'd like to tell us what it is you do, a bit about your business and how long you've been running for.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Nice meeting you, Sammie. I'm Gareth Looker from Looker Marketing Communications. I help my clients shine out by helping them with their marketing material. I have to do that because that's what I'm known for in Cornwall. At all the networking meetings I go to, I have to do the shine out bit. And I've been doing that for a long time. I've been running my own business for 30 years this year, so it's over 30 years. And prior to
Wow.
that, I've been working for other ad agencies for about 10 years or thereabouts. So, yeah, I've been doing it a long time.
Yeah, that's 30 years with Looker Marketing.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. That's amazing. And is it just yourself in the team? Do you have any other people that work alongside you?
It's just me. In the past,
Yeah.
I've employed people. That was 20 odd years ago. But I work with a team of specialists as and when I need them. So I tend to get involved in strategy and words. I was trained as a copywriter when I first got into marketing. And that covers a multitude of sins. So, words are what feed any creative ideas. But over and above that, it's about getting a strategy where we're targeting the right kind of people with the right kind of message, using the right kind of media. And then if I need people like, I don't know, specialist social media people or printers or website builders, I will call those in as and when we need them.
Fantastic. And then is that sort of like a list of people at your go-to list? Do you use the same people each time for the same services?
Generally, I mean, it's changed
Yeah.
over time, but you like to build up a rapport with people rather than have to go through the briefing process every single time or the interview process every single time. It's nice to be able to go to someone who you can rely on to deliver. And that's in any aspect of business, really. I guess that's what business people are looking for: reliability of logistics, reliability of a market that is going to be there. So reliability, well, it's very boring sounding word. Reliability is what business wants.
Yeah, no, of course, that's definitely a key word to use. So I'm talking about your 30 years. 1992, that would be.
Yeah, correct.
That's the year I was born.
Thanks for that.
So that's very versatile business journey there, I can imagine. But how did you cope throughout the pandemic, COVID-19? How did that affect your business?
Okay, well, I'm fortunate in a way that having been doing it as long as I have been doing, I've got a kind of I know what I'm doing because we're a very small business. It's me and my freelance team. We can adapt very quickly. So the fact that, and I'll be totally frank with you, the fact that in the immediate months of the pandemic and lockdown, my business fell off a cliff. But because it's a small company, we could react to that accordingly, and it didn't mean the end of the world totally. I remember on the day the first lockdown was announced, I had a client meeting, and I actually met him in the car park. He didn't want to let me into the building.
Wow. Yeah.
And that was basically a meeting to say, we're going to put it all on hold. And that was a shame because I was just about to sign up a nice big client. But that's how it goes.
Yeah. And then if you had to sort of take any actions or have there been any implications sort of following COVID, how have you sort of recovered from that?
Well, it focuses your mind and gives you time to think. In my profession anyway, it might have been different if you're in hospitality or, you might be scrabbling around trying to make alternative arrangements. But I think the takeaway for me was, although businesses have to continually evolve and adapt and react and be agile, very often something like this, which is life-changing, planet-changing, is the fulcrum around which things happen. It's the thing that actually makes you do something rather than think about doing it. And one of the things that I did was basically focus more on one aspect of my business. So hitherto, and especially in the past when I've employed people, we would offer ourselves as a full service agency, a marketing agency, which to a degree we still are. But now I focus very much on consultancy. And I hate using the C word because people think you're going to charge them a lot of money, but that's what it is. And it means that I can focus on just that initial aspect of marketing, bearing in mind that the majority of my clients are small businesses. They haven't got huge budgets. It's not like they're going to do a multi-million-pound advertising campaign. So I can give them some good advice from a really basic marketing point of view to help them move forward. So whether or not they then go ahead and spend millions of pounds or thousands of pounds on executing a marketing campaign is of less importance to me. And now, because of the very fragmented nature of the marketing industry, where over the past decade, let's say, if not longer, whereas before a client would go to their advertising agency, and the advertising agency would do the advertising and the design and the brochures and the branding and the TV and all the rest of it. Now, all of those different media channels have their own specialist agency. So you get a social media agency or a digital agency or a website company or a PR agency. So it's become very, very segmented, fragmented, which I think is in a way is a shame for the client, because it makes them it's difficult for them to know who do I go to, and ideally they need to go to someone, a generalist like me, at the beginning, and say, what do we need to do, and then who do we need to go and talk to, because I can guarantee pretty much, without wishing to appear to be rude to anyone, if you go to a social media agency and you say to them, I think we need to do some social media, they'll say yes. Or if you go to a printer and the client says, I think we might need to do a brochure, the printer will say, yes, you do. So, whereas I don't give a monkey's whether you end up using social media or print, telephone marketing or whatever. What I'm concerned about is that you use the right media to get to your market, because I don't have a vested interest in whether you use print or social media or whatever. It means I can actually deliver a pretty impartial service to my clients and hopefully guide them through that minefield.
And then, so with your clients, do you have quite a lot of repeat clients, or do you sort of get people that come through at the beginning of their business journey or the business project, for example?
Well, both. I've got one client who's been with me for 30 years. They're a family-owned business who manufacture and import cleaning products, and they're a leader in their field. But then I do see a lot of one-offs, small businesses who just want to, have some ideas and get started on their journey. And to be honest, it's the ones who give you the repeat business are the nice ones, because that's where you make your money, to be honest.
Yeah, of course.
The new ones where you're continually having to explain to them the fundamentals and having that initial conversation with them about where they're wanting to go and all the rest of it. To repeat that each time a new client comes along is time consuming. And if you knew that, or if you know that they're going to be a long-term client, you can swallow the cost of that initially. But if you think, well, this is only going to be a short journey with them, you need to ensure that you're going to remunerate yourself, cover the cost of that time with them one way or another. And it doesn't mean to say you have to be expensive. I mean, I'm lucky insofar as that I don't need to charge vast amounts of money. And I can tell you about other things I do which would help fit in the picture. Apart from running my business, I'm a town councillor on Helston Town Council. I started up a Chamber of Commerce in Helston last year, so I'm the chair of Helston Chamber of Commerce, and that's going really well. And I'm also the business liaison officer for Cornwall Labour Party. So depending on what day of the week it is or what time of the day, I could be wearing a different hat. But all of it I find really interesting and exciting, because it's all conversations about businesses, and particularly small businesses, and how you, me, anyone can help small businesses develop because they're the future. That's what they're going to grow. They're going to provide jobs. They're going to put cash into the economy so that our country continues to, well, I nearly said survive, continue to thrive.
Thrive. We'll go with thrive. And then your clients, are they predominantly based in the Southwest and Cornwall, or do you have sort of a national clientele?
Mainly here. My longest service client is in the southeast. I'm from London originally, and they're in the southeast. So I still have a few connections there. But nowadays, it's all in Cornwall, let alone the southwest, I think. And one of the things that came out of COVID, although now everyone says you can do business anywhere in the world, I like face-to-face meetings. Because especially if you're presenting ideas, creative ideas, you want to be able to see how people react. And although we're now quite used to Zoom, it's still a kind of artificial environment. And people still are quite guarded, might be overstating it, but they're quite careful. Whereas if you're in a face-to-face meeting and people react a certain way, they can't help it. And that's a good way of getting feedback from a client. So and also it offers a bonus. If you're running your business and you're working all the hours under the sun, it's actually nice to get out and meet people, and nice to have a coffee with someone, a fellow human being, and not just necessarily talk about business, but chew the cud about how life is in general.
Fantastic. And then with your 30 years of experience, is there anything that sort of is like a top tip from you, or your best advice that you would give to anybody that was thinking about starting their own business?
There were so many things to know. And to distill it down to one, I think would be nearly impossible. But I think based on my own experience, it would be, and I think the buzzword is agility. You've got to be agile. And you've got to be able to respond quickly, and that's my personal experience. And I've learned that the hard way. And you can read all the books, but if you're not agile and respond instantly the moment you need to respond, then you may as well not respond at all. But there's so much other stuff, and you've got to be able to be. Although you've got to be agile enough to respond, that doesn't necessarily change and lose your authenticity. And I know authentic is a big buzzword at the moment in marketing and in business. So you've got to have these balancing act between being authentic and true to yourself, but then being able to respond to the marketplace and being able to adapt to the market and still sell to the market the things that you're authentic for, and that's a different balancing act.
Interesting. It's that's a similar answer to what I got previously, actually. So it's nice to hear. And then sort of with Looker Marketing, how do you see the future growing for you? Sort of where do you see the business going in the next 5 years?
Call from unknown.
Bear with me. This is modern technology. You asked me a question, then the phone rings. Could you repeat that question, please?
Yes. With Looker Marketing, where do you see the business going in the next sort of 5 years or the future?
Well, for me, it's always, my clients have generally been business to business. So that's where I have that track record. So that's where I'll continue to look for my business. And I don't think that's going to change. I mean, there are trends in business, trends in marketing, and I can help my clients in that way. But I tend to, my happy hunting ground are places like industrial estates. So while there's plenty of marketing agencies in Cornwall who have these glamorous clients, 5-star hotels or gin companies or clothing companies, I tend to get involved with things like pumps and cleaning equipment and light manufacturing, and it's horses for courses. So that's where my focus will be going into the future as well.
Yeah, fantastic. That's it's a good sort of, it seems to have worked for you. So it's worked for the past 30 years. So why would you change that?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of my, as an aside, one of my bugbears, a hobby horse that I go on about when the opportunity arises. The thing about Cornwall is, and people come here for the lovely place that it is, and it's got a thriving tourist industry. Agriculture is very strong. The largest single employer is Cornwall Council, and then I think Trillisk Hospital, or round the other way.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we need to develop in Cornwall is more industrial businesses. I think manufacturers, even if it's light manufacturing, and you look at things like, we've got lithium production coming on stream soon. Only one MP in Cornwall that I'm aware of has mentioned having a gigafactory built in Cornwall. So then you've got the connection from lithium to battery manufacturing, and then we've got brownfield sites in places like Camborne. Why not put a manufacturing base there? And then you never know, you might get an electric car manufacturer setting up next door. But that's not going to happen given the state of the economy now. It needs government intervention to attract those kind of businesses there. And the advantage is that, we can then perhaps just begin to be slightly less reliant on tourism to generate income in Cornwall, and spread that money around into, workers' back pockets, so that they go out and spend the money on, the things that they want to spend it on, and keep the economy going, really.
I think especially as we are so seasonal down here. I think we're coming up to our summer season now, and it's a good time. But yeah, definitely considering that it's going to go quiet from October. But yeah, that's the way it is.